We're ready to shoot some black on this thing. Debbie's wiping it with wax and grease remover. Masked up underneath, and the wheel wells, the roll cage is all masked. The roll cage is bare metal, but I don't want to get overspray all over it from painting the black, so we masked it, and then I'm going to use Rust-Oleum Hammer Tone paint on it. So she's getting a good coat of wax and grease, and then I'm going to tack it with a tack rag. So finally there, after all these years. I'm excited. Okay, there's one coat of sealer, and that's all I'm gonna do. There's no need to do more. It's just a bonding between the primers that were on there and the paint that I'm getting ready to put on. It looks really good. I used DP90 on that. So far, it looks awesome. It's been, I don't know, 20 minutes probably. I'm gonna take a tack rag and touch right there because I did see something when I was spraying. It looked like maybe a piece of dust or something got in there, but all in all, there it is right there. All in all, it looks really good for as dirty as this friggin' thing was. Okay, that'll be okay. So you can see that it's plenty dry. You don't want it to be dry. Sealer needs to be, and it won't be. I mean, I could wait an hour and it's not a problem, but it's been on there long enough now. So all around the window, the door jambs, the rocker panel, quarter panel, trunk, hinges, everything's ready for paint. So let's mix up some black. here's 2 coats, and it looks beautiful. So this roof had a 1/4 inch of Bondo on it. That line that you see right here, the roof line, was so rounded off you couldn't even tell it was there. It looked like a Volkswagen roof. Look at that. I ground all the Bondo off of it. I ground all the Bondo off everything. The rocker panel on the opposite side over here, driver's side, I've got pictures and video, but it had close to 3/4 of an inch of mud at the front, and they tapered it back because the door didn't fit. They had the door pulled out and had that rocker panel mudded out to where it would fit. The quarter panels were replaced. They cut it along here, overlapped the new panels, spot welded it every couple inches, and then mudded it. It was just horrible. This whole back end, everything back here, the bottom panel, the tail panel, had a 1/4 inch, and I'm not kidding, of mud on it. Everything. That whole windshield panel or back glass panel there, 1/4 inch of mud. They literally, and when I'd grind into it, you could count the layers. Some of it was so thick, 1/2 inch of mud, and I'm not kidding. In a lot of places, this 1/4 panel, it was new. They put a new 1/4 panel on it, but they did so bad that you could count the layers of Bondo. And they Bondo primer, Bondo primer, Bondo, Bondo, Bondo. They had like 5 or 6 layers of mud on this thing. Just the whole car. I mean, everything about it. The hood, which was a new cowl hood, they just mudded it. It's like they just took a wheelbarrow and mixed it up and started troweling it on. But it has very little now. 1/4 panels have nothing. I seen them at the factory right there, and they've got just a little bit of filler, you know, where they seamed. That thing it's bare metal with, you know, I don't remember exactly, but might have had some dents in it. The roof had been, somebody had jumped on it and bent it in. In fact, one of the braces is still bowed down, but what it does when they do that is it just puts a dent all around the side of it. I was able to reach in there and knock it out. You know, I beat it back into shape, beat it down up here, knocked it up here. It's got just spots of mud. It's just literally almost mud free now. Rocker panels, other than maybe a dent, there's no mud on them. The back panel, no mud. I spent a lot of time taking Bondo out of old Bondomaro, but it looks good. Really pleased with it. That's 2 coats. I'm going for number 3 here in just a few minutes. And that'll pretty much wrap it up. I might do 4, but probably not. There's a little bit of dirt in it. I can't expect any less, and this car was the dirtiest thing I've ever seen. I say dirty, I mean dirty. I didn't sandblast this car, which is what you see a lot of sand right there. I just did the outside, but what you're seeing is just a fraction of it. Years back when I replaced 1/4 panels and stripped it, I blew on this car in the rocker panels for hours. What you see is probably 1 time. I did this probably 10 times in the booth. All right, check that out. There's 4 coats of black, single stage PPG black, beautiful. Yeah, it's like a mirror. And it looks really, really, really straight. I'm super happy with it. So next step, after a while, this is gonna set up and cure for a while, but next thing will be color sanding and polishing, buffing the fenders, doors, trunk lid, what have you. And then when I get that done, this will be caught up as far as curing goes with those parts. I'll come in and buff it. But at least the hard part's done. It's taken me a long time to get here because I have a lot of other stuff to do. But the front frame is ready, the underneath the car is ready. Put the wheels back on it, make it roll. It looks really good. I'm pleased with it. I've still got to paint stripes on it. I think we're going to do SS stripes, but can come down the road. I'll do that after it's sanded and buffed. So, done deal. All right, well, it's not only my birthday, it's also buff the Camaro day. Old Bondomaro is gonna look good. So today I'm gonna color sand and buff that body while it's still in the booth, even though some of you will say, you can't buff in a booth, you're gonna have to. I can. This booth's been here since when we built this, 1991?
Yes.
So this thing's been in here since 91, and I can't even imagine the hundreds of things that have been painted in here. And we used to use it for laying fiberglass. See the floor? That's remnants from when we actually built cars in here. Debbie and I'd work in this booth for 7 days a week for 10 hours a day. At one point I had a little air conditioner in the wall because we didn't have air conditioned shop, and it was so hot it was miserable. But there's also some donuts there from where I spun donuts on my motorcycle 20 years ago. They just keep hanging on. But I'm gonna get a squeeze bottle of water, and I'm gonna start with 1,000 grit, and then I'm gonna go to 2,000, and then I'm gonna go to 3,000. And when you do 3,000 on this, it looks almost polished. You can almost wax it. It looks so good. But I'm gonna get ready and get started with the 1,000, which is probably rougher than I need. I'll try it and see what it looks like. If the orange peel starts coming off good and quick and easy, which it usually does, I may go straight to 1,500 and maybe even 2,000. But I'm gonna get some water. We're gonna jump on this thing. The beauty of doing it in the booth is because the car's still masked. So all the spray that's gonna come off of this mixed with the paint is gonna be all over this car. It's gonna look like crap. But with the plastic on it, at least I won't have to clean all the semi-gloss paint that's covered up right now, which that'll make my life easier. So I'm willing to clean the booth when I'm done versus cleaning the car when I'm done. That's where we're at. You can see it looks pretty good. It's always hard, especially with black, to touch it with sandpaper when you work hard to make it look good. But it's got dirt in it and it's got orange peel, so it's not as good as it looks, but it is pretty good. Let me get something and dry that off, and I'll show you what the first pass will look like.
Okay. Queso
sounds good. Okay, this is single stage. Get that dried off. All right, you can see I just hit that lightly. You see a dust spot? That'll send, well, if it would focus. Hocus pocus. It doesn't want to focus. I'm gonna pause. All right, maybe that's better. There's a dust spot. Now you can see the amount of orange peel because I just lightly hit this, but that's with 1,000 grit, and I'm gonna keep doing it, but I wanna get all of this orange peel and these dust spots down with this 1,000, and then when it looks like this area, just smooth, I'll come back with 1,500, maybe even 2,000, because single stage buff's so easy. coat of paint off. The color sanding and buffing process technically should take a layer of paint off. I don't really think it takes that much off. Not as smooth as this paint laid down. But I'm gonna dry this and see what it looks like, and then we'll hit it with 2000, and I'm gonna show you the differences here, and then I'm gonna go to work. I'm just gonna start buffing, sanding. I need an air blower. See, I just went over that quickly again. It didn't spend much time on it, but look at that. That's just moisture from my hand. That's smooth. That's as smooth as glass. So I'm not going any more with 1000 grit. I'm gonna go out, I think I'm gonna go right to 2000. I'm gonna skip the 1500 stage. See, there's another dust spot. That's why I don't worry too much about dust, because I'm gonna knock it down and you'll never see it. That's right there is really smooth. Back in the lacquer days, I would buff over 600 grit. That's 1000 grit. And 600 grit and lacquer worked really well. But for urethane, especially black, I'm gonna go ahead and sand it down to 3000, but I'll show you those steps. I'll set this one aside because that's still a good paper, but this Trizac stuff, you know, it's basically like plastic. It is a plastic of some kind. And it's old technology. This is, as the younger people call, old school, but it works. This old school guy's done a lot of paint jobs. Slow my machine down a little bit. Used to wet sand with regular square paper and put it on a board or a block of some sort. I had my own way of doing it, and then just scrub. Did most of my career was like that, but Trizac's been around, I don't know, since the 90s. Okay, so that's 2000 grit, and we've invested a few minutes in this. So I stayed back short. So here you can see 1000, just a little bit duller, see it around the edge. So not sanded, 1000, you can see a strip right up through here. I intentionally stopped so you could see the difference. 2000. So now let's get the 3000 after. The 3000, these things are expensive, but they last pretty good. I'll get the whole body out of this one, and it's foam. So they deteriorate. You don't really want to stock it if you don't use it, but it's very fine. They even have, I guess they have 5000. I don't ever see a need for 5,000. I think the newer generation wants to sand it till it's almost polished, but 3,000 is good, and then I buff, and anymore I buff with foam buffing pads. I used to buff with wool. In the lacquer days, you needed something to cut that 600 grit. They didn't even have 1000 grit. I remember when it came out. 3000 and never take the paint off. You don't have to worry about it. I know some of you will think that's scary. You're gonna sand through the paint. This paint's thick. There's 4 coats on here and it's heavy coats. But that 1000 grit or 3000, you can sand forever before you go through. Let's see if that's enough. It may not be. It is. That looks really good. So look at you can definitely see it. So here's 1000, 2000, 3000. So you can see the steps right there. And if you look, that 3000 sands it so smooth. You can see these are LED lights with the little dots in them. Look in the paint, you can see that reflection. That's how good 3000 grit does. 1000, 2000, you can't see. You see it disappear right here. You see it in this is a good example. You see it in the non-sanded, you see it in the 3000, you don't see it in the 1 or 2000. So by the time you hit that with 3000, you've just about brought the shine back. Now when I polish and mop that with a foam pad, that'll come back to shining like unlike this. It'll look as shiny as this, but it'll be flat. Because I've gotten rid of the orange peel, which is not a tremendous amount of. You can see the lights there, but you can see the distortion, and you can see it much clearer in the sanded. Look at that. So that's just sanded down to 3000 grit, and you can literally count the dots in that LED bulb. Over here, that'd be challenging. You'd have to focus your eyes on that a little bit, but there's the deal. Now I'm going to get after it and do the whole roof. And the roof on this thing is pretty floppy because somebody has gotten up on top of this roof years ago. This car was a pile. And that's one reason they coated everything on this car with it honestly had, I've got video and pictures, it had 1/4 inch of mud on it. So much mud that you couldn't even see the body line. But that also stiffened the roof up. I went in and beat once I got all that Bondo off, there was dents around the edge. When somebody stands on a roof, it'll cave down around the braces that are inside, and it'll usually pop back up, which it did, but it stretches it to some degree. So it's a little bit flimsier. I gotta deal with that while I'm painting, or buffing here, sanding. But it's straight and there's no problem with that. It just, I just got to feel it go up and down. You can see the reflection across there too. You can see the dirty wall on the backside. These pictures make me realize how much I need to paint this booth. And it's not as bad as it looks. This look really shows up. When I see that with my eyes, I just see a little bit of shadow. But some reason the LEDs in here really make it look bad. So Debbie's gonna put that on the stand. And I'm gonna start sanding, and I'll stop and tell you what I'm doing if I find something interesting. for 2,000. So the finer grit you get, the faster it goes. The hardest part is getting the first cut. In this case, 1,500, isn't that what I started with? 1,000 or 15, whatever I started with there. You know, you gotta get the orange peel and the dust out of it with that first cut. The second cut, the 2,000, it doesn't take too long. I'm doing it twice, but it goes really fast. And then the 3,000, I'll have this whole half of the car done in 20 minutes probably with the 3,000. So I'm just about to call 2,000 a wrap here. So that's part of the roof with 3,000. Let's sweep this up here, show you kind of the amount of paint that you're actually taking off and the kind of results that it makes, the difference. So that little bit of clear coat, of water with black paint in it, that's all there is. That's not much when you think about how much paint you're actually taking off. But I want to show you the difference. I'm trying to wipe and hold the camera at the same time here. Our friend Mike Bell was just here, and I was showing him. I'll show you the same. Water in my airline there. Okay. So you can see how easy this is going to be to polish. There's that defined line between 2,000 and 3,000. Look what happens when you move. See the lights? They gone. Lights back. But that's going to be really easy to polish. I'll probably go over it one more time just because you can see, well, it's really not that big a deal. Probably won't. Anyway, look at how flat it is. And the difference between this and, a little bit better paint job, there's not that much, is just how much time I put in color sanding and buffing. I could use a board, a flat board, and do this better, sit there and do this forever and get it mirror flat, glass flat. But this guy doesn't want that. He's already got a nicer paint job than what he expected or what he intended to do. So this thing's gonna look like $1 million. It just won't cost $1 million, and it's very close to being that paint job. All I have to do is put a little bit more time in sanding. That's just because I can't force myself to not do a good job for somebody. I think this side is ready for buffing. If I buff and I see something I don't like, all I gotta do is stop. But there's you can see those lights again. But that's how long it took. It's like 2 o'clock, I guess. So a few hours, but not terribly many. Of course, I still have to do this, or part of this. I'm just gonna do the relevant areas. But I'm getting ready to move on to the second half of the roof. opposed to that 3000 grit I showed you didn't take much color off. There's what you get with 1000. I stayed on it pretty good on this side, trying to get flattened out pretty good. That's dried out from the water evaporating in this back here. I've got down to here with 1000. I'm gonna clean it, make sure I didn't miss any. You'll see the orange peel if you miss it. So I'm gonna clean that off and then finish it out, and I'll do the 2000. I honestly just about had a heart attack. I thought when that was just smeared over with water right there, that looked just like I sanded through. I thought, how in the crap would I do that? But you can sand through and it'll look a lot like that right there. Fortunately, that's where I didn't sand. So that's just shiny paint that hasn't been sanded. Here's what I'm looking for. This up here, well, it's still got some too. So obviously where I can reach real easy, let me zoom out a little. This is all pretty good. This up here needs more. Gotta get that orange peel out. See it right there? So I'm getting ready to fire back up and go over that. I stay away from sharp edges, but I have been known to go through on sharp edges, and boy, that scared me. I really thought that I screwed up. My mind started reeling. It's like, this is single stage. I gotta blend some color in there, but fortunately, false alarm. All right, it's buffing time. So the car's color sanded all the way down to 3000. I didn't get super crazy with it because I want to see how it's going to buff. You know, I could stay on it forever with 3000, but I just got it like you saw yesterday from yesterday. Now I've got some compound on the roof here. I'm going to see what happens. This buffer has been sitting around with a dry pad for a little while, but it won't be dry for a while. Let that cool just a minute, but that's polishing so nice it should be against the law. Look at that. Black is just so bitchin' to polish. Somebody told me the other day, I don't know why you use single stage. I said, why wouldn't I? The thing with black, white, red, yellow, and non-metallic colors that you need a clear coat over the top of. This is, you're looking directly at black. So if I put a sheet of clear Lexan on top of that, do you think that's going to make it look better? It's not. You're looking through clear, and clear is inherently a little bit distracting. It's going to reflect the sunlight different, and some clears are even yellowish. So if you think about it, if you look straight down, it's one thing, but if you look across, you're seeing through a very thick coat of clear before you get to the black. This black that you're seeing is right on top. Now, that was one coat. That was one application of buffing compound. I used 3M, number 1. Look at that. I mean, I'm gonna do it 2 or 3 times. I gotta look at it closer. There's some stuff that still needs to be hit, but I didn't hit it that hard. That looks so good. I don't like getting it hot, so I'm gonna move back here a little ways and do that same thing back further, and then I'll come forward and do it again. The reason for not getting it hot is there is filler, and it was done on top of coarser grit sandpaper. And if you get the top coats hot enough, you can shrink stuff and make sand scratches or bodywork scratches show up. So, you know, try not to get it too hot. a little bit of heat's not gonna hurt anything. I'm not sure I actually made my point. When the guy asked me why I sprayed it with single stage, not only is the color a better thing, but I find the buffing to be so easy. You're not gonna get anything that buffs better, quicker, and nicer than that right there. So I replied with like, why wouldn't I? He said, I just hate buffing single stage. Well, you must be using some bad paint, because you just saw that. Did that take a minute? Maybe two?
Maybe.
And it's almost done. It looks fantastic. Single stage buffs so good, especially black, because black's just easy to do. I love spraying black, I love buffing black, but it's just single stage is big. Okay, there's at least half of the roof with one go round of compound. Now the front will be dry, I'll cool again. So I'm gonna go up front and do the same, I'm gonna do that same process again, but that's just, bring me the camera, let me show. And this again, I didn't spend as much time sanding as I could, and I didn't spend as much time with the 3000 as I could. Look at the reflection. That's literally a mirror. So I'm gonna buff away.
Baby,
that's it for the number one compound, which is, used to, that was a very gritty, rough compound. This new stuff, the stuff I say new, stuff that we use anymore, it's not gritty like the old days, but it looks really good. We're cleaning it right now, just getting the speckles, the over sling off of it. And then in the morning, I'll buff it with number 2 compound. And I have number 3. I never ever buff with number 3. It's just not necessary. Number 2 makes everything look so good. So for the most part, it's ready to put the wheels back on it, unmask it, take it out and pressure wash it. And then paint the roll cage and be done with it until it's all assembled. I've got to assemble the whole car, so I'm not gonna get the paint absolutely perfect, because once it's assembled, I'll buff the whole car in its entirety. This is the first buff, and it looks awesome. It's straight.
Look at that.
Yeah, the reflection's great. I'm just trying to get the speckles off and the dust from my rag. Of course, it's black, so every little spot shows up. I just don't like letting them dry on there for very long, because the longer this little spots from what I mean is the buffing compound slinging off the pad. If I'm buffing back there, there'll be a few specks up here. The longer I leave those, the harder they are to get off. Tomorrow, the number 2 compound will re-soften them, but go ahead and get them off now. Let me have that camera and I'll walk around and show some of the. Again, this is number 1 buff. So it will get even better than this, but look at that mirror reflection all the way across that roof. Sail panel. There's a Deborah in the sail panel. There's a Dennis. Got the back. I didn't buff where the bumper covers. There's no need. It's no need to risk burning paint. The side of it, it just looks great. So that's about basically 2 days work to get the body from from fresh sprayed orange peel base, single stage in this case, to sanded and buffed. Man, it looks good. So the whole car is going to look so awesome. Anyway, you can have that. That's it. I'm going to clean the booth up a little bit and be ready for tomorrow morning. So this morning, after coming in, it's like, there's no point in buffing stage 2 on this thing. It looks so good. Honestly, I could buff stage 2 for the next 3 or 4 hours and you wouldn't see the difference. And gotta remember, I'm gonna be hanging doors on it, crawling inside, doing all the work to put it together. So I'm gonna use my brain, and it's not an assembled car. I'm gonna use my brain and just leave it like it is. So that's the plan. We're not gonna do stage 2 buff on it. Once we get it ripped apart, all the masking off of it, I'll put the wheels and tires back on, we'll take it out, and I'll pressure wash all the compound and sanding stuff out of the inside. But first, we gotta unmask the roll cage. And I'm gonna go ahead and paint the roll cage because it's gonna be brushed. And that's just bare metal, and I don't want to wash it first because I don't want to have to scrub rust off of the roll cage. So let me get the paint here. Make sure that everything's good there. Yeah, this is Rust-Oleum hammered gray. This always looks so good on a roll cage. So that's the plan. Let's set the camera up and get in here and unmask the paper that took so long to put on for just overspray. But see right here, if I hadn't masked that, all that paint would be on that roll cage and I'd have to sand it down. So it was worth doing. See how this goes on with a brush. I probably should get a roller. One of those little you know, little rollers. I'm gonna see how it works with the brush. Looks like gray paint. But like even in the can you can see it hammer toning. That's kind of what it'll look like on the roll cage if you guys haven't seen it. It'll have that hammer toned look. I'm gonna start in the trunk. That's some stinky stuff. I may end up having to send my camera operator to get a brush, a roller. But let's see. I'm gonna do up here first where you guys can't see it. Oh, that actually looks bitcha. You'll like what you're gonna see. It's gonna be a surprise if you haven't used it. And I know all of you have, because I read the comments sometimes. It's like everybody has advice on how I should do what I do, even though what I do works. Watch this. I just brush it on. It looks like brush streaked bad paint. But then you'll see it start looking hammer toned. So a brush works pretty darn good. That's the beauty of this, is it'll hide. You don't have to have brush strokeless and perfect. I wonder how they do that. Must be microchip based with information that they gather from your iPhone or your smart TV.
I like it because they have different colors.
I just gotta get the runs out. I mean, I had a run there. It will show a run, but let me smooth that up just a little bit. I'm a smooth operator. All right, I just gotta make sure that I got everything covered, and I think I do. All right, check that out. Oh, there's a spot. Once I get back, I can see it. See, the problem here is that's almost the same color as the bare chrome moly tube. I thought I had it. I back up and it's got a big old bare spot. All right, let that spot this I just did. Why is that not hammering? Oh, there it goes. Look at it, it's hammering. But look up there how cool that looks. That one spot's not hammering as much. I want to put another coat, probably because I'm jacking with it too much. If I just leave it alone.
Kind of like when we did fiberglass. Leave it alone.
Yeah, we always, well, we didn't, but one of the rules that we had when we were teaching people to lay fiberglass is don't just keep working it. You can work it to death. Uh-oh. I don't know if I'll leave that in the video, but we're filming along and Mika decides that she has to bark because she's a creature of habit. She knows that this is about the time UPS comes. And even though she never bites, she never does, she just has to bark. And if she hears something, and the other habit she has is if she can interrupt our filming, she gets some kind of personal satisfaction out of it. I think she learned from Debbie.
Oh, why is that?
Didn't learn it from me. You guys give me these comments about how great Debbie is. She does such a good job filming. So I'm gonna give her some crap because it makes you guys say stuff. Look at that. Both of them are hammered doo-doo now. That one's a little bit heavy right there. I'm gonna brush that down. How do they hammer that? I didn't beat it. Beat it. Just beat it. Oh my gosh, you like Michael Jackson. Trust me, there was nobody that thought less of Michael Jackson than me. But Did have to hear it all the time, and it did stick. I want this on there, and I want it dried so I can do other things like wash it and put the wheels on. All right, so I'm crawling under my jungle gym, trying not to spill my paint. I would say that you can probably put that thing on time lapse.
Okay.
Because I'm sure they're tired of hearing me yabber jabber.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite.
Well, that was, it's a lot of work. And it's a little bit tricky because it dries really fast, at least it does in this weather. So you're painting around all these bars and you can't really drag back over the top of the paint that's already dry. So you gotta think all that out. You gotta, work it out to where you're not dragging over dry stuff. And it's kind of hard to touch up, but it looks good. Look at that. That nice silver contrast to that black. So what we're gonna do now, I'm glad that's over, and we get to unmask the rest of the car. It's been masked up here for, I don't know, a week or more. You pull that away, how nice that looks. Oh, that looks good. I'm excited that this is coming off, because all this is ready for a motor, for an LS.
Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby, and twist myself at the spine. Don't wanna overthink it, baby. It's just twist your body and mine. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and
I'm happy this thing's looking up, and it looks nice underneath, and really nice outside. Okay, next step is make a path to get it out of here so we can pressure wash. Look in here. This is all the sanding over spray dust. If the package tray back there is really bad, so we'll get it all washed up and then I can put it back in here after I clean the booth up, and it can be home sweet home for a while. that's it for this episode, and I'm stoked. This thing's been here a long time. That thing got in the way of this thing, kind of like Tom's car back there. They all kind of collided about the same time for me, but most of my attention for the last 5 years have been on that thing up there. So this guy's patient, thank goodness, and he's going to get something worth waiting for. This thing's bitching. I love black paint. I just don't want to maintain it anymore. I actually even enjoy doing it, but it's got the one buff. I didn't buff it with a number 2 compound. As we move it out here and I move it outside like I had it, I see the places now that need to be buffed more with the number 1 stuff. So I'm glad I didn't waste my time with the number 2. The lights in that booth are fairly new to that booth. They're LED and they hide a lot. So my next number 1 buffing will be out here in this light. It's a lot different. Even though it's LED, it's not right above it like it is here, but it looks good. It looks straight. The underneath, I did that some weeks ago, a couple months ago. It looks great. The roll cage, look at it right here. That looks really good in there. That silver looks nice against that black. You can see the firewall. That's all, I think that footage is in this video. That's all done. Semi-gloss black. The chassis is all done and cleaned up. So it's ready to slip the old 6-liter LS in and start putting this together. But I must not tell a lie. It's going back in the booth and it's going to be in there for a while. The next thing I do to this car won't be putting the LS in. I want to get the rest of those parts sanded and polished like this. That's a big step out of the way. Then I'll start slipping LS's in and putting it back together. First, we got to get on that. I got to get the motor apart because we're getting ready to go to Bowling Green to the Tri-5 Nationals and race Jeff Lutz. So hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what the video looks like yet. We still got to edit it. I can't talk too much about it. You guys will see it shortly after we see it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. So this guy over here got me screwed into something this morning. I would never have known about this, and I don't know who else would, because this guy grouped this dune buggy they were going to get into a post with 3 or 4 Volkswagen Golfs or something like that.
Like 2000 models.
Like, it was the very last picture, and it happens to be 10 miles from home. So we're making the trip here. Tom had his truck and trailer at the shop anyway, so I didn't have to unload mine, but we're going to go see about a dune buggy of all things. $150. How can you go wrong?